Hello there and welcome. In this video, I want to give you everything you need to know for a good start into Songs of Syx version 70. So we're going to go over all the initial parts that are necessary to get yourself into a stable state where your city won't die and gives you enough knowledge to experiment around and experience the game from there on out. So let's not lose any further time. Let's get started with the basics. So first up, we hit up random game because this is basically what you need to go for if you just want to have a sandbox game. And we leave all the settings at normal. I am doing these tutorials always with the idea of a standard difficulty in mind. When it comes down to the starting species, I'm personally a big fan of the humans, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, whether you go Kryptonian, Dondorian, or human doesn't make that much of a difference. The other three species, they are a little bit different from one another and have unique gameplay mechanics that only they really utilize. In short, I wouldn't recommend them so much for a beginner. I find the humans a good middle ground. Kryptonians are a little bit less eager to rebel, but at the end of the day, all of the things you see in this video work for all of the cultures regardless. Now, let's get started. I won't be using any titles for this run. They are sorta achievements that make your future games easier, but since we want to simulate a beginner state, no further additions. So, when the map is generated, we get to select our starting point. Generally speaking, there's only a few things that I really find so important that you shouldn't miss out on, and all the other things are just depending on what you want to play this time. It's a huge sandbox game, very deep, and therefore let's go for the most important things. First up, moisture. This is showing how easy it'll be for your agriculture in general. All the icons you see directly over the moisture meter are availability of different minerals and other industrial goods that you can mine. At the end of the day, the most important thing I find is that you aim for a decent amount of forest, water, moisture, and most importantly, avoid what you see here. You will have few of your own species nearby. This location is isolated. These two things shouldn't be around your starting point. You can always click this button to get yourself a new map with the same seed, and then you can re-roll it until you find something to your liking. At the end of the day, one point is as good as the other when you don't know what you're doing, so don't worry about that too much. So if you are thinking, but Icon, what if I need all these other resources that are at 0%? There is trade in this game, and everything you can't produce yourself can be bought. So there's really not much wrong you can do. And the metrics I have showcased here are mostly important for good food income and for getting your industries rolling. Now, after you have selected your starting point, you get to inspect the world, and with this button, we get into our actual map tile, which will be the capital of our empire. In this game, you will eventually rule an entire empire, but you will always only build your capital city located on this map tile. All the other areas that you will once govern will not have their own map yet. I don't know what the final version of the game has in mind. Anyways, when we're looking up here, we see in these squares the minerals and the other resource nodes of the map. Important to stress out here, greens are the plants, white are animals, and red are minerals and other things. The other thing, what I really like, is we can always, just as we were able with the world map, we can regenerate this map tile until we find one that is pleasing to us. The map tiles that we regenerate will always be related to what you see on the big map, though. So as you see here, this piece of river will always exist in one way or another, but the resource caches are now all differently distributed. My personal recommendation is stone is something that's really handy to have around yourself. Coal, it's this blackish stuff. And what's also always quite nice is this grayish stuff. It's ore, which we can transform into metal eventually, and clay. These are practically the most versatile materials of civilization. Another thing I like to do is I go here onto the eye and look for soil. The very bright spots here are good soil. Don't mix up soil with moisture. Moisture is always best, obviously, where there's water and can be transported via irrigation systems. Soil is soil. We can't really change much about that. I don't know if there's technologies eventually in the game that change soil. I'm not aware of any yet. Either way, this is a good thing to look for. I really like to have a little bit of farmland around me. And as you see here, this spot here, it has trees. Next important thing. It has trees, it has fertile soil. We're going for that one. As you see here, this tile doesn't have too many trees in most regions. Here, this is a good starting region. And trees in Songs of Syx work like that. They regenerate when you chop them down until you build something on top of them. So this is a permanent source of timber. Every green region on the map is. So you don't need to worry to run out of lumber eventually. So for our current setup, that is the spot where I'll bring my landing party. Landing party means the throne of your capital, 10 people, and a couple of resources that you will work with. Next spot, what we're going to do is strive to survive. When we go here, we have now a lot of user interface things. I'll be covering them when the time's right and when we use them. What's important here to note is we have 40 rations. This is what we can eat for a couple of days, and then people will start starving. We also get to work with a bit of stone, a bit of wood, that's construction material, a bit of grain, and a bit of livestock, which is food. So these materials are the first that we're going to process, because the first thing that you need to get going is a sustainable agriculture, so your people won't starve and you have a foundation to build upon. So let's work out that. First up, we want to utilize the livestock and the grain. Everything in Songs of Syx decays. If it is stored properly in a warehouse, slower so, but even then, it will decay. If it's just lying in front of your throne, obviously it will decay even faster. So for us, the clock is ticking. The game is also using a dynamic decay system. So as you see here, grain does rot much faster as stone does. So our construction material is not so much of a pressing matter as the other items are. So let's build something. Good moment to show you how the building system works. The very first thing that I want to build is something that processes the grain into food, namely a bakery. We will run out of grain eventually, but for now, processing that grain into something we can actually eat beats looking at it decaying by a big margin. So down here, all the buttons show you different things to build, and oh, this game has a lot of things to build. What we're looking for here now is the refining tab. What I also like to use is the magnifying glass and just type in what I'm looking for. So choose to your own liking. We are going to pick up the bakery here now, and this is the building system of the game. This is our toolbox, so to speak, for the sake of building things. And what we have on the cursor is the building shape. If we now left drag and drop, we are bringing in the outer border of the building. I like to go for a 7-on-7 foundation because that is actually really a good median. And the next thing we want to do is to go onto this one and change the walls from mud to wood. Mud technically doesn't need any resources, and you would think that this is a good thing, but reading the last line, it requires a lot of labor. We are currently working on a clock because people would be starving if we'd be taking too long. Therefore, we use the lumber. If we're running out of building material, there's plenty to chop down around us. Now, next thing, we need a door. This is the second icon here. The first icon is for walls. If you click it, the walls disappear. Don't do that. And now we need to put in a door. And next thing, the actual items that make the bakery a bakery. You have here always in the center the items thing. And if you want to change how the building looks like, here are the buttons to bring in more wall, right click undoes your last step. And here's a couple of other things. Shrinking room can be sometimes useful, but you'll find that out for yourself. Now, our bakery is not a bakery without an oven. If we press E, we make things larger. If we press Q, we make them smaller. If we press R, we rotate them. You can't always do that with the buttons up here, but I'm a big fan of key bindings here. So I press E once to get a doubly large oven in here. So now we see here 3 people can work in here, and they'll produce 9 pieces of bread. Next thing, auxiliary oven. And this I'm going to enlarge bit like this, or, well, when you look at the efficiency, it doesn't change. That means even the smallest piece of these brings us to efficiency 100%. That means don't go bigger than you need to. With these auxiliaries, never go bigger than you need to, because they cost resource. Next and last step, a storage item. So here goes. When everything is looking like this, we go for the check mark, and we construct. So now our folks will go on out and build that bakery. Before we start the time, now let's build the other thing, namely the pasture where we can process livestock into more livestock, where we make yummy meat out of that. So husbandry is the tag that we're looking for, and we're looking for Entelodont, which is Songs of Syx pig. So we go for this here, and now as you see here, the map changes. Here you want to go for the brightest spots because Entelodont, just like farming, likes to go for the best soil. Here we draw a bigger rectangle, and now you see the amount of workers here. What we want to do is we definitely want to go for even numbers here. 1 worker, for example. But don't be shy. 2 workers are the least we want to do. So we can here, bit by bit, expand on that. Don't feel shy to go for forms and shapes as you see fit. Next step, we bring in a gate and a hut. Here, it's the same deal. The hut is the auxiliary item of the pasture, increasing the efficiency. We always want 100% efficiency. Feel free to make the pasture also a little bit larger than this. 3 workers or 4 workers are pretty okay. I'm going to keep things small for now, and now we go for construct. So we are starting the time, and now our 10 folks will start going for work. I'm going to go for maximum speed here, and as you see there, they're picking up the items here and start constructing. We are now going for this here and fell some trees. Mind you, the more trees you mark, the more work they got, and felling trees quickly becomes more important than constructing. So if you ever have too many jobs, you can suspend them with this mark here and reactivate them later when you notice that you just have issued too many jobs. Happens to me all the time, in all honesty. So another thing that we can squeeze in while we are doing this is 1 house for the folks living here. We're picking up a longhouse, which is hosting conveniently just 10 people. As you see up here in the metrics, -10 housing means that nobody currently has a house to live in, which is not ideal. Not the least little bit ideal. So let's pause the game by pressing 1. And now you see the bakery is fully staffed out. And now 3 people will work in here to transform the grain into bread. You see that everything out of here is grayed out. And we have exclamation marks, and that is always a sign that you currently don't have enough resource to continue the building. You don't need to do anything further for the bakery. You can here watch how the grain pile disperses, and the bread will be stored in here. We will soon build a specific building to store our items in, but more about that later. By the way, when you're on maximum speed, pressing 4 and then pressing 4 again brings you in 250 times speed, which is pretty nice for moments like these, when we're just waiting for things to be completed. Just be careful, sometimes you want to be not in turbo mode. So, now the pasture is done. You see 2 people have been assigned to that. The housing is done, and the bakery is done. But still, none of these items here are listed. And that's because items on the ground are not in your storage. Let's build a storage. So, the warehouse is found in the logistics menu. And the warehouse is where we store and distribute items in a large scale. The warehouse stores everything and distributes everything. There are more specialized providers for this service later, but currently we're working with that. Here, I'm going again for the 7-on-7 foundation because I find that a very good common ground, but we're going now for doors on every side. You can go for your own design here. I personally just like that. And we're going to bring in now crates, as many as we want to squeeze in, or as few. It's up to you how you want to design your city. And the storage here is listed, and now we construct that one. And we keep chopping some trees. Later down the road, we can automate the tree chopping with a woodcutter. But currently, we're not able to do this. I'm going to explain you later how to go for that one. Okay, with the warehouse soon to be, let's wait until that's done. Fast forwarding is really nice here, and let's pause the game. Warehouse done. So here we now can allocate storage space to specific goods. We now know we want stone to be stored, we want wood to be stored. Every click assigns one crate. We have 16 crates in total. It's a very small and inefficient warehouse. We could have done that better, but whatever. It serves the deal here. So one crate for livestock, one crate for meat, or let's make that two. Maybe our pasture will shed off enough. One for grain and one for bread. So for the time being, that's pretty much all we need, but I'm already adding in one for furniture because that's going to be the next step on our list. One last thing we need to do is to assign one delivery man to the warehouse, otherwise the goods will not be delivered into the warehouse. Oh yeah, let's do one last step. The rations, I always keep looking for them. Here, let's assign those rations too, so they don't decay. Alright, now if we click on this symbol here, we now see the food clock of our town. Currently it is positive, but only because we're producing bread out of grain, but that will run out of we're running out of that soon. So let's reduce the amount of bakers to 1. I think it might be even already the case that we ran out of grain, but that's not much of a big deal. So the easiest way to sustain your food income is to build yourself a hunter. Hunters just roam around and generate meat or fur, and are, in my opinion, the best early game solution for your food problems. So let's set up one real quick and showcase the problem and show how to solve it. So we're going to bring in the hunter with 2 entries. Butcher table goes here and there. You can't make them bigger than that. And now we put in a utilities slot, and here you see it slowly goes bigger and bigger, the number. I showcase 0.4, 0.5. And this is how we're going to keep it. And here we need furniture. So this is the point where we don't have furniture. We can now either build ourselves a carpenter if we want to, which you find here in the crafting menu. Let's set up one. But I'm going to show you another solution for the problem right there after we have set up the carpenter, just so you know that there are different approaches to same problems in this game. So here's the same thing. I'm going to enhance the workbench a little bit so 3 people can work here. At the beginning of the game, I really like to keep things as small and compact as possible, because in the beginning you're working kind of like a little bit against the clock, because we don't really have any risk of dying off here. Let's clear some rocks so we can have some building material here too. But it's easy to be in a little bit of a pinch here. So the furniture that you need, we don't necessarily need to produce it. We can also manually trade. So click on the coins here, and here you see your neighbors represented by those flags. Left click here and go for diplomacy. And here we can demand and offer resources. This is a direct trading thing. So we can now go over here and ask those folks nicely for 8 pieces of furniture. And we could now offer, for example, lots of timber until we can pay the price here, or rations, or whatever. I don't want to say you should be doing that. I just want to put a finger on the fact that you can, via this menu, directly trade one resource for another at any point of the game. Your neighbors are always eager to trade with you this way, and you could technically just chop enough trees and just sell them to your neighbors until you can buy that furniture. Same goes for the grain for your bakery. We could now also go to our neighbors and sell away some of the excess wood that we're generating to buy ourselves some grain to bake new bread in the time being. Trading is a very, very powerful thing in the game and will help you over a lot of shortcomings. Carpentry, in the same point, is really powerful in generating low level wealth and is required in many, many useful buildings. So having a carpenter will long term always pay out. So the last thing I want to cover in this video before you're ready to build your cities on your own is services. When you look over here at our humans, right click into that tab, you see here's a lot of different metrics. This is the total happiness, unhappiness, and everything your people want to have in this game. It's a lot to dig in at first, but what I want to point on here first is the services tab, because as you see here, here's the fewest things that manage themselves naturally. You see all the other tabs here. It's worth looking into eventually and watching other guides. Of course, I'm happy if you watch mine, but it is a good thing to tweak the numbers, but services is where the most can be done initially. So, the more services the people got, the happier they are. As you see there, this is the total amount of services we can offer our folks. You find these hidden in this menu mostly, but the most important ones are a well. In summer, people can can cool themselves down. If you have a body of water in the vicinity like that, it is not as life saving as in regions where it's not. But you see here, there's a request for a well and for skinny dipping, so they won't be saying no to that well. And the other thing is a hearth. The well and the hearth, one protects from cold, one protects from heat. These two are the generally biggest power players in the services game, so to speak, and having these will make your folks automatically happier. And you see that yellow arrow here? That's people wanting to join your city now because it's such an awesome city, because they heard you got a well and you got a hearth. You even got a bakery, and that's why they want to come. The total amount of positiveness in your city is generating a migrational pull towards your city. And every good thing you do is generating happiness, and every bad thing happening in your city is generating unhappiness. So your next goals will be to generate a positive balance of food. Once that hunter is ready, you will have reached that equilibrium, and then you can grow from then on out. You see, production rate positive, and here you are free to go your own way. There's tons of things I left out. In the service area, you can build shrines that are really easy to go for. Bring in a grave, bring in a speaker. But the general mechanics you have now understood. What I want to point out before I end this video, there is sort of a level up system happening in this game. Namely, when you breach a certain amount of citizens, then you will always unlock new bonuses, new buildings and such. Among these also research. Once you have unlocked research, you have access to the technology tree, and that is where you start unlocking more and more things. And this is where you need to scale up, because your researchers will eat a lot of food, they will require resources that you need to generate for them, but you have the handy works at your hand. You need now only to expand food, expand services, expand housing, and There's a lot to find out in between, but this was a beginner guide after all, so ask away in the comment section if you find that something is still very, very unclear. And of course, leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider donating via Ko-fi, joining the YouTube channel membership system, or whatever tickles your fancy. I am a self-employed solo content creator, and I don't want to be filled with annoying sponsorships that just want to sell you stuff. So lots of thanks for all the support that you guys are delivering, because that's exactly what's making this channel so ad minimal as possible. Somewhere we all have to. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a great day, and see you soon.